All right, kids, let's get it cranked up. It's just after high noon. May I say good afternoon to you, 12:06 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is episode 613 of our days together. It is also Locks for Trump Day 138. My commitment to Donald Trump and this United States of America. I shall not cut my hair until we have a new president-elect, and I expect that will happen on November 5th, and I'll be cutting that hair on November 6th. Super Talk 99.7 WTN can be found on a variety of platforms, obviously on 99.7 FM, your radio dial from Southern Kentucky to Northern Alabama and all points in between. There we are. You can also stream us and carry us wherever you go in your smartphone technology by downloading Supertalk 99.7 WTN in your streaming app. If you get music or information or news from a streaming app, we're there. And if we're not, let us know when we'll be there. Then, of course, Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Supertalk TV brought to you in part by U.S. Pest. And our chat room brought to you by F&M Bank. I'm going quickly because we've got to get to our Newsmaker hotline. Where Senator Marsha Blackburn is in just a moment. I'll tell you about that right after Bell K, who is Headless Bell as always. He refuses to participate in the television side of things, but he does entitle our TV episodes. And episode 613 of the television show today is entitled
Matt Murphy has COVID and has to go home.
That's not true.
Oh, wait, that's your vaccine-boosted president. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3, cheese and crackers.
I love the big debate over whether he has COVID or doesn't have COVID because it doesn't matter. And that's why I like the debate. I enjoy it. I don't mind it. I don't know if I don't know if Joe Biden has COVID or not. Why doesn't Joy Reid and Keith Olbermann investigate whether or not Joe Biden actually has COVID, as opposed to obsess over whether or not they think that Donald Trump got hit in the ear by a sniper's bullet? Not that any of that matters one iota, one bit. I'll get into all of that coming up later on in the Libertarian Lunch. We also have some local headlines to tell you about. We've got a few local candidates to tell you about. We'll cover the RNC from last night comprehensively. You've probably seen by now, and I'll mention this in the opening with Marsha Blackburn in just a moment. You've probably seen some of these videos right now of Marsha and several other senators confronting the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheatle. With that in mind, after seeing it last night, we communicated with Marsha's team, and we were able to connect with her a little while ago. We're all big family here, so this was a moment that we got to spend with Marsha a couple of hours ago. We recorded that moment, and we present it to you now. Here's Marsha Blackburn on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk.
team during the convention and was relaying Senator Barrasso, Senator Langford, Senator Kramer, and I was relaying what we knew. We found out during that conversation that the Secret Service Director, Director Cheadle, was in the building. And I said, well, let's go visit with her and see if we can get answers to our questions. So we went up to the suite where they were having a party, and it was one of these luxury suites. So we go in, we introduce ourselves, and we say, let her know we were cut off. We didn't get our answers. She is there. We would like some answers because she owes not only us, but the American people and the Trump team answers. So they're in this luxury suite. We are trying to have a conversation with her. That's what you see on the video. And she proceeds to tell us, well, now is not the time and place to answer our questions.
Oh, God.
And that she doesn't want to interrupt the evening for the partners. So here, Matt, here's the thing. She saw the partners, the people they had worked with, as being worthy of her time. But she did not see U.S. senators as being worthy
as representatives of the American people,
right.
Obviously. Yes, ma'am.
That's right. And so she said, well, we're going to leave because I don't want to stop them from enjoying the evening. And we're like, no, we need answers. And I said, we will go with you. We can go somewhere quiet. We need a few minutes of your time. But here's the thing. She would not even consent to that. She would not give us an answer. She would not talk with us. She turned around. She walked out. So we said, we're going with you. So we went with her. So then her detail starts running her up some stairs in the middle of the arena. And so we go running up the stairs with her. And we follow her to a hallway, having told her we would go somewhere quiet and talk. And they slam the door, and they block us. They surround her. So they gave her more protection than they gave Donald Trump.
Well, first and foremost, well, I don't mean to interrupt you, Senator. Senator Marsha Blackburn with us on the Matt Murphy Show. First and foremost, it was a BA move, and I'll let people figure out what the B and the A stands for, but it was a BA move. Secondarily, it is so infuriating to the listening audience of Super Talk, to the state of Tennessee, to the United States of America. I don't care if you're a Donald Trump fan or not, that you, a sitting senator, cannot get answers from the Secret Service director. And the fact that she was at some lavish party at all 4.5 days after there was an attempt on a former president's life and a Republican candidate's life, the idea that she would be at a lavish party enjoying herself, whining and dining at all is an insult to the American people, Senator.
Of course it is. And she is there in the arena, and it's 4 senators who were all in the queue waiting to ask her a question. She is there. We go in and we say, I mean, we were up there visiting with other people. Like I said, we were there with the Trump team, and we found out she was there. And I said, well, let's just walk over and ask her some questions and see if we can get some answers. But she would not give us 15 minutes of time. So she tucked tail and ran.
Well, and it's an incredible testimony to your tenaciousness, but also a testimony to the lack of credibility that she has and the lack of ability to continue as director of the Secret Service. Do you call for her resignation, Senator?
Oh, absolutely. I've called for her resignation. And I told her, you can run, but you can't hide. You have to answer for this. And here, we are in the political season. Americans love to go to these rallies. They love to go to political events. And there is always security. And people expect that. So whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whether you're for RFK or Donald Trump or Joe Biden and Kamala, you want to be able to go and show your support. I have had so many messages from my friends in Tennessee who are Democrats, people that are independents, people that are Republicans, that have said, why won't she just tell us what happened? How could somebody have gotten that close and nearly killed President Trump and endangered the lives of citizens that were there? And Corey Campieri and the loss of his life, and the people that were injured, and also, Matt, the people that were traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
These Trump rallies are family events. There were people with their children out there. They had children that were watching this shooter on the roof, and there was nothing done. And it is imperative that she give us answers. And the fact that she would not answer to 4 senators who represent people in this nation. And, you know, we are just, I have said so many times, in Sunday morning, President Trump and I talked for a while. We had a conversation. And I told him, I said, it was just God's hand. You know, it was those angel wings pushing you forward that moved your head that centimeter so that you were grazed.
No doubt.
And it was just
no doubt.
Really that protective cover. He knows that. He realizes that. And Monday, I was so thrilled to speak and give that pro-Donald Trump speech, then have Lee Greenwood follow me onto that main stage to sing God Bless the USA, and then to have President Trump come in, his walk-on music, you know, his fight music. It was really quite a night. And
well, I'm glad you turned to the wonderful evenings that we've been watching, including obviously your participation in the RNC on Monday and throughout the week. I want to turn our attention there in the last minute or so that we have, because I promised your folks I'd get you out of here in about a minute or so. But obviously there's 1,000 different questions about the security failures, and I know as our senator that you're going to get to the bottom of those questions, and eventually we're finally going to see Joe Biden fire somebody. We couldn't get him to fire anyone after the disaster of Afghanistan. We can't get him to fire Alejandro Mayorkas after the disaster at the southern border. I guarantee you the American people will demand that he fire Kimberly Cheadle, and heads ought to figuratively roll as a result of the failures there. But tell me about, just in the minute that we have, Marsha, the demeanor of the former president. I'm concerned. I mean, this has to be an incredible, I mean, this is a man that's accomplished much, unimaginable things in his life. But I can't imagine the psychology of having an assassination attempt come that close to being successful. How's his demeanor?
He realizes that God protected him, and he realizes that he was spared, and he feels like it is his job to unite the American people. He's going to give a tremendous speech tonight. I don't think anybody has seen it, but I do know this. I know he's going to talk about unity. I know that he is going to talk about how we move forward as a nation. The platform, I chaired the platform committee. The platform is dedicated to the forgotten men and women of America. It is 20 promises and a few short pages of who we are and what we believe. Everybody can pull it down at marshablackburn.com. I've posted it there to make it easy. And we are going to see him focus on what we need to do to make America great once again. And he and his family and all their speeches are going to be grounded in gratitude, appreciation, and the fact that we as Americans are better than this. People are depending on us to preserve freedom, and we believe in freedom, free people, free markets, and you're going to see his focus shift to uniting us as one nation.
Senator, thank you so much for representing the state of Tennessee in the way that you do. Thank you for last night and your confrontation that we've all seen by now on video, and thank you for the time today. And it's been an incredible week, a busy week. I know you'll be excited to get back to the great state of Tennessee. We'll talk to you again very soon.
You got it. Thank you so much, Matt. Bye now.
There she is, Marsha Blackburn, spending some good time with us earlier this morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That'll be up and running on our podcast page as soon as the show is done. It's 12:22, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of times we try to pretend that issues are not happening in our home. We want them to go away that way. They don't go away that way. The way to make them go away is to call USS, United Structural Systems. If you need peace of mind, you need USS in your life. They're the company that can give you that because they have over 25,000 satisfied and peace of mind customers in their banks over the last 30 years, and you could be the next one. When USS comes out to your house, you get problem solvers. They provide, as I say, that peace of mind. They'll examine whatever situation you're looking at, whether it's your crawl space, your basement, whether it's shifting, whether it's doors that are sticking, windows that are sticking, or perhaps you're interested in the polylift system, which is concrete leveling, a new age type of concrete leveling that we talk about quite often on the Matt Murphy Show. Go to USSTN.com for more information. That's USSTN.com. Or give them a call at 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for USS. Our good friends at U.S. Pest are great Americans, and they believe in this country. They are patriotic Americans, but that's not why you call them. You call them to get rid of the bugs that bug you, whether it's roaches or mosquitoes, God forbid termites, bed bugs, or spiders. They'll get rid of them with U.S. Pest. Threat pests pose a danger to you, and they pose a danger to your property. They can cause disease, property damage. It is imperative to ensure that any threat pest infestation is dealt with quickly and effectively. What are we talking about? Well, I just named a bunch of them. Bed bugs and ticks and fleas, roaches, mosquitoes, spiders, and the like. Let's get rid of them with U.S. Pest. They'll provide a free inspection for you and your home. You can also refer a neighbor, family member, or friend and receive a $50 credit on your account or a free mosquito, tick, and flea treatment. Get your service today with U.S. Pest. Free inspections, uspest.com. That's uspest.com, or give them a call at 590-1260. That's 590-1260. $12.60 for our friends at U.S. Pest.
The final night of the RNC promises to be the biggest show. Democratic donors may be dropping out before Biden and an arrest in a high-profile hit-and-run case in Nashville. Those stories coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, John Michael. We've got lots to get into. Thanks again to Senator Marsha Blackburn for spending some time with us today. And once again, that'll be up on our on the podcast side of things on all of our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, etc. Coming up right around 3 o'clock this afternoon. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be involved in the show. 615-737-WWTN. You can either give us a call on our phone lines or you may super text us on the membersnutrition.com super text line. Dave is writing in and saying that there is a massive police presence in Murfreesboro along the New Salem Road area. What the heck is going on? Dave, we'll get some eyeballs on it. We'll try to figure out exactly what is going on. I know John Michael's back in the newsroom. Perhaps he can put some eyes on that there, and we can figure it out. I'm looking. Let me just see here if I can pull out very quickly because I can get to New Salem Road. Yeah, there's a big. Is that New Salem Road? No, that's Old Fork Parkway. Not seeing exactly what you're referring to, but maybe I wouldn't. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we'll try to figure that out, Dave, and see if we can get some eyes on it. So thank you so much for writing in and asking about us. 7875, what has she done in the Senate? What bills has she gotten passed? That would be Marsha Blackburn, I suppose. I'll let that lie there for just a moment while we go down some of the super texters. I believe it was intentional. A lot of people are believing that, and I can understand why that would be. The assassin missed Trump, but an innocent person lost their life due to a lack of incompetence of the Secret Service. Someone should be jailed for that death. I agree with you. How would Senator Blackburn feel if she were approached in the same manner? Seems like an ambush, and Senator Blackburn should make an appointment or issue a subpoena. Well, 7597, you're obviously not listening. Senator Blackburn, a United States senator, an equal branch of government to the executive branch, these individuals had a Zoom call earlier in the day with the director of the Secret Service, who works for the Department of Homeland Security, who works for the President of the United States in the executive branch. And the congressional members had questions that did not get answered. Why is the instead of asking, oh, it's an ambush, why is the director of Secret Service at some lavish cocktail party 4 days after the most massive failure of the Secret Service, potentially in American history, with the possible exception of John F. Kennedy? And actually, I would put this one ahead of the Kennedy assassination because it was standard operating procedure at the time of the Kennedy assassination that you allowed presidents to drive in convertibles with the top down. And they made that decision. They considered whether or not to have the top down or up, considering the number of high-rise buildings they would be going down or going by in 1963. It is ridiculous that the director of Secret Service would think it was appropriate that she would attend the cocktail gathering at all. And so I don't mind that our United States Senator from the state of Tennessee and others from other states around the United States of America decided to say, hey, you couldn't answer all of our questions on this Zoom call. They got into the queue on the Zoom call to ask questions, and after about 5 questions, they cut off the queue. That's what happened with the United States Senate oversight of the director of the Secret Service, as Marsha just told you. So, no. I don't mind that they were, quote unquote, ambushing her, and she decided she wanted to leave the party, and they decided that they would walk with her. Good for them. It's about time that someone's demanding accountability on the part of the director of Secret Service. Why have we not had a press conference? Why have they, even if they come out to say nothing, why have we not had a press conference? It's a good question, I think. 12:31, we'll get to your calls momentarily. Libertarian Lunchtime Hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 12:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Cloudy and 78. A full forecast is coming your way in minutes. The man wanted for questioning in the death of a Nashville business owner has been arrested after a manhunt in Middle Tennessee. That's according to the Metro Nashville Police Department and WSMV. Police say 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez was taken into custody in Nashville at the Somatel Motel on Metroplex Drive near Interstate 24 in Harding Place. Metro Nashville Police released Martinez's identity in connection to the death of Smoking Thighs owner Matt Carney. It's the final day of the Republican National Convention, during which former President Trump is set to formally accept the GOP nomination. Here's Republican strategist Heidi Heitkamp.
They're having a very good convention. Republicans are. There's no doubt about it. But who's watching? People in this country, people in Ohio don't really know J.D. Vance all that well. People in this country don't know him. I think he did a good job yesterday introducing himself. But as we move forward, we will see how the Democratic unity comes together.
Trump said he completely changed his speech after last weekend. Some of the highest-ranking Democrats in Washington have now pressed Biden to step back from his re-election bid. They include Democratic leaders in both the House and the Senate. And Jonathan Karl says the questions about Biden's ability to win are also affecting donations.
I'm told that in terms of the major donors, it has stopped. The money into the campaign has stopped. In polling, you've seen upwards of 70% of Democratic voters saying that they would like to see a different nominee. That is very hard to sustain.
Yes, more than 20 prominent Democrats are calling for Biden to drop out. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let's spend a moment talking about some media sources that perhaps don't get noticed in this day and age. I mean, I try to get you to notice Steve Abramowitz and Heartland Journal. They do great work over there. Right now, the headline on the Heartland Journal, Tennessee voters rally behind Trump following conviction. That's right. That's exactly right. The Tennessee folks that pay attention to news, pay attention to Heartland Journal, and I encourage you to do that. Steve often has incredible guests on his podcast page. We invite you to go over there. If you go to the Heartland Journal website, you'll see it. Episode 228 has just dropped, and every single one of those episodes right there on the page. As a matter of fact, you might see one or two of yours truly, Matt Murphy, on the podcast side of things. Heartlandjournal.com. That's heartlandjournal.com. Steve Abramowitz does great work, and I encourage you to join him on his podcast or with his journal entries, and he's got a lot of news over there at heartlandjournal.com. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and let's spend a moment talking about this great event coming up this Monday with Men of Valor. I've been telling you about the second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic. Well, it's here. Monday will be the big day, but they still have a couple of spots available for teams. Not very many left, but still time to get in on the Monday 9 a.m. shotgun start at Hermitage Golf Course at the President's Reserve. Visit men-of-valor.org for more information and for registration details. That's men-of-valor.org. The Golf Classic, hosted by our longtime friend, volunteer champion Rudy Kalis, one of the nation's premier multi-award-winning sports broadcasters. We had Rudy on the show yesterday. What a great guy. He'll be joined by people like Vince Gill, Jeff Fisher, and so many more. Come join us for a great day of competitive fun, breakfast, lunch, silent auctions, contest, and much, much more. Plus, importantly, a testimony to God Almighty and about God's story about what he's done with these men incarcerated and reconciling themselves to God, their families, and society. I tell you, Men of Valor truly is a ministry of hope. It's the second annual Rudy Kalis Celebrity Golf Classic happening this Monday. We'll see you there. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Thanks again to Senator Marsha Blackburn. We'll have that podcast up and available for you if you missed any of that.
It's up
coming up in just a little bit. It is up right now. So says Bell K. Headless Bell giving us that update. All right, so let's get a few of your telephone calls. Lots of places to go. Obviously, last night at the RNC, J.D. Vance officially accepted the nomination for Vice President of the United States of America. Incredible speech, incredible story, introduced by his wife on stage last evening. And it was compelling, much-watch television, and I certainly know you were sitting around your TV watching, as I was. Your thoughts, your reaction to anything happening last night. Tonight, Elon Musk, Hulk Hogan, and, of course, everything leading toward the address and remarks by the former president, the 45th president of the United States of America, and I expect the 47th president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. Meantime, over on the other side of things, complete disarray on the part of the Democrats. They don't know what to do with Joe Biden. They don't know what to do with their candidate. Now, this is a coup. If you want to talk about a threat to democracy, how is it not a threat to democracy that we set these processes in place in order to select our Democrat and Republican nominees for president? Third parties obviously can do their own thing. You set those processes in place. They excluded every challenger to Joe Biden. Robert F. Kennedy wanted to run as a Democrat. They would not allow him to run as a Democrat. Think about that for a moment. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wanted to run as a Democrat. He was not allowed. He wanted to compete in the arena of ideas with Joe Biden. Was not allowed. No legit candidate was. There was one guy, I forget his name, but other than that, nobody. So they already stacked the deck in Joe Biden's favor. And when Joe Biden has now received over 15 million votes, now they've decided amongst the political elites in his party that they're just not going to worry about those votes anymore. They're going to start all over again. 7644, what time does the RNC start? The convention goes on all day. With various meetings and get-togethers and gaggles and whatnot. I want to say, I'll look up the exact time. I want to say it's 6 o'clock our time. I believe that's right, but I'll find out for you. Stephen is next. He's calling from Paris. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for taking my call, man. I was trying to get on with Chris there, and he ran out of time. I got in a little late, but I appreciate you hanging in there with me, man. And, he was talking about the Democratic strategy if Biden goes, and I'm sitting here thinking, I don't think his time. I think his time is limited, if not to days, maybe even hours, with this dark side Democratic mutiny that we're seeing right now coming up. But the most important fact is what I wanted to call in about was I definitely feel like it's going to be, when that happens, Kamala's going to step up. And the only person that I see filling those shoes is going to be Gavin Newsom, and for a couple different reasons. She has to pick a white male, or she's going to lose too many votes. She she's going to stay with Gavin Newsom because he's a California kid. So it's going to be Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, and Kamala Harris, the California trio. We all know they're in China's pockets. China has its sights on Silicon Valley for this IA futuristic war, the planning for the future. That's really the only thing kind of in their way with us, because they're not defeating us with war tactics. They're buying us. They're buying us. And the only people that will sell out to them is going to be California. I'm going to start calling it Cali China.
Mm-hmm.
But, I really feel like that's the route it's going to take. Even with all of that, I still feel like with everything that just happened with Trump and what we're seeing take place now, I still feel like we're going to win, and I'm really hoping for that. But you got to, Chris, I hope you're listening, you got to realize, brother, Gavin Newsom is going to step up as the VP as soon as Biden's off the plank and Kamala takes the throne. Gavin Newsom's coming in, man. I'm telling you.
You think they'll pick Newsom over like a Bashir's?
Yes, they will, because
hold on. What's the advantage of picking Newsom over Bashir's?
Well,
Newsom is not middle America. Newsom is not middle America. Kamala Harris is from California. No. You've got California.
Exactly. But think about this. You remember when President Xi came over here recently?
Don't talk to me about President. Just tell me.
Who invited him over here?
Directly, Stephen. Directly. Why? They got to get votes, man. They got to get votes. Okay, I'm not challenging you. I'm just asking the direct question. How do they get?
That's what they want to do. They
got to win before they can kiss China's butt.
Well, that's how they think they're going to win with Gavin Newsom, with Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. That's the only way they have to win. And I mean, if they do win,
you're certainly entitled to your opinion about who she's going to select as her vice president.
I think it's already set in stone. It's already planned.
That's great.
Yep.
I mean, you're entitled to think anything you want to. I'm entitled to tell you. I'm entitled to tell you that you're wrong. I mean, if China's running the show, they're doing a crappy job of it. I mean,
well, they think
wait, China's running this Biden show, man? Come on. There's nobody running the show over there. Nobody.
Oh, well, they're coming. I'm telling you. What that's going to be is the green light for Taiwan. I'm telling you. As soon as Biden falls out, Kamala.
Wait, so Biden? You're not making any sense, Stephen. Biden standing in the way. Wait, hold on, Stephen. Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Listen with your ears and speak with your mouth, right?
Sir.
Right.
I apologize.
China's currently running the show, yes or no?
They're not running our show, but they're trying to buy it.
No. Is Biden beholden to China? China picked Biden?
Biden is a puppet to the dark side, okay? We, the Jedi,
Okay, I'm done. Right, no, I don't want to talk about the Jedi. I'm done. I love you. Long time. Thank you for the call. Gavin Newsom is a perfectly acceptable, reasonable individual to select. First off, if they pick Gavin Newsom, Stephen, someone, either Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris, has to leave California because they have to have California's electoral votes to win. They have to, right? Kamala Harris is from California. Gavin Newsom is from California. Gavin Newsom is governor of California. He can't leave California while being governor. So then that means Kamala has to leave California. Where does she go? So first off, functionally, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay? Number two, if China is, quote, running the show, then we need to continue to allow them to run the Democrat show because the Democrat show is a bleep show. A word that I almost said on the radio just a moment ago. And my apologies for those of you that had to suffer through it. Misha is next. Hello, Misha. How are you? Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Great. Yeah, I was just calling to say that there's a big question surrounding why the Director Cheadle, was at the RNC last night. Has that been answered?
No, I'm sorry. Say the question again. What now?
Why was the Secret Service Director Cheadle at the RNC last night? Has that been answered as to why she was
Good question. Senator Blackburn indicated that she was at some sort of private cocktail reception.
Yeah. So that doesn't really pass the sniff test. What it looks like, and yesterday when the director told that massive lie about the roof being too sloped for it to be safe for Secret Service agents to be on top at first, I was furious. But now I'm pretty happy that she's told that massive lie, because what it looks like to me and what it looks like to so many other Americans is that Director Cheadle was actually in on the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. And I think that if you look at what the FBI has been doing with regard to working cases where they've worked with bad actors in the past, such as the 3 men that they entrapped into attempting to kidnap the governor of Michigan, or some other bad things that the FBI has done, such as staging photographs of the classified documents spread all over Mar-a-Lago, which they've admitted to, and the judge just threw out that case. What you've got some. What it adds up to is you've got some federal agencies that hate Donald Trump, and they also have a history of working with bad actors. Instead of just going out and arresting them, they actually work with them and they groom them, and they get them to the point to where they're almost going to commit this heinous act, and then their strategy is to go ahead and arrest them. And what it looks like to me, I certainly don't believe that assassin acted alone, that he was a lone wolf shooter. That doesn't make any sense. And there's probably less than a 1% chance that it was negligence that the Secret Service allowed him to take those first shots. And now that we've got
wait, hold on, stand down for just a second. Less than a 1% chance. Where are you pulling that from?
Well,
is that just your own analysis?
Have you heard the snipers that have talked about setting up on that roof and
I interviewed a sniper yesterday.
Yeah, perfect.
So I don't have Misha. I'm gonna put you on hold. I've got to do this. I'm happy to come back to you a little bit later on. Here's what I know. I know that you don't know what you're saying. I know that I don't know what I'm saying. I know that none of us know what we're saying right now. I know that an absence of information leads to speculation, and it's perfectly reasonable that we would speculate on all of this. I know that anything's on the table for me, but I am not closed off enough to believe that it could not have been incompetence, clear, abject incompetence, or it could potentially have been something even darker, like an inside situation. I would perish the thought, but I don't take that off the table. So I'll give you an opportunity to finish that up in just a moment. It's 12:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and allow me a moment to talk to you about the Glock Store. The wonderful people at the Glock Store want to see you over on Airlane Drive, and I want you to go by. If you're interested in the Second Amendment, they can talk to you whatever your level of expertise. If you're an experienced marksman, they can help train you and get you up a notch, get you up a level or two with their incredible trainers over at the Shoot 270 ranges and rooms, no lanes, at shoot270.com. They can also help you select another gun of your choosing. Now, if you've never held a gun in your life, they can help you too. The Glock Store can speak to you on that level and walk you through the process, get you to the right gun for you, whether it be a handgun or a long gun, and then off we go. Thank you to the Glock Store for being such a wonderful partner with us. Thank you to the Glock Store for being a partner in Tennessee and beyond. Glockstore.com and shoot270.com for the one and only Glock Store. Stop by and say hello. They're on Airlane Drive, just off of Elm Hill Parkway and Briley Parkway. It's the one and only Glock Store.
The identity of the young man killed in a local jet ski accident has been released. A Tennessee senator goes to great lengths to get answers from the Secret Service. And a break from the heat. That's coming up at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thanks much, John Michael. Okay, a couple of things to clean up. One, I wasn't trying to be rude to Stephen. I was just trying to move the conversation along. And I disagree with his premise that Gavin Newsom is going to be the choice. One, a president and vice president can come from the same state, but you can't count those electors toward their total. How many electoral votes does California have? 50? They have to have California. So either Gavin Newsom, the governor of the state, or Kamala Harris would have to move and leave the state in order for him to be on the ticket. So I wasn't trying to be rude. I was maybe sounding a little dismissive of the premise because I don't believe the premise is accurate. Number two, I agree. The only two explanations for what happened last Saturday is either gross incompetence or intentional malfeasance. One of the two. But I don't like people thinking that they know which one it is when obviously they don't. You might have a gut feeling. We might believe certain things are true. That's why I say absence of information leads to speculation. So I'm not trying to dump on Misha either, but we're speculating. All of us are speculating right now. We don't know what the facts are. So pretending that we do is a little bit of putting the cart in front of the horse. Now, on to Pat Davis. Pat Davis is your health plan man. I talk about Pat a lot, and I wanted to have Pat on because I talk about my wife's story and how Pat found us a great plan individually for my wife. But there are new plans available if you own a business, if you are not able to offer your employee a health plan. And Pat is here to talk about a few of those things. Hello, Mr. Davis. How are you, sir?
Hey, I am doing wonderful. So
it's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy summer.
Oh, my gosh.
Has it not?
Yeah, it really has. I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm on the same radio show as Marsha Blackburn. That can't be all bad. So, yeah, it's crazy. It really is. I think everybody becomes experts at times like this. And in the area that I really do believe that I am is in the area of trying to come up with what I call conservative plans that basically break people out of, things like Obamacare and whatever. And my frustration, brother, I'm telling you, over and over is people will, they complain about their plan. They have a plan from the marketplace. They have a plan with a big name insurance company. And then they look to us and they're like, man, we just don't want to, we just can't afford or whatever to break away. And we're saving people with our health plan that we can do for businesses 40 to 70% and giving them a special savings plan and the process that I've been marrying it with. And it's phenomenal. And then there's the people who don't even have insurance at all because, hey, the law says, thanks to Trump, he broke the mandate. You don't even have to have it. So I've got little special plans for those people as well. And so we just like people to get a hold of us and give them an opportunity to look at what they're doing. But if you have a business that's like 40 employees or less, they really need to get a hold of us. And we can share some outside-the-box thinking. And, brother, you'll see it. My biggest frustration is I hear people all the time say, I'm a conservative, I hate Obamacare, and then they offer Obamacare.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right.
It just makes no sense. I talked to a lady today who heard me on your show, and she said, I'm telling you right now, I don't care what the cost is or anything else. I am not going to have Obamacare. I'm not going to get a subsidy and then get taxed and fined and all the other kind of stuff like that. She's an accountant, so she understands it perfectly well.
Well, Pat, we love what you do for our conservative audience. I appreciate what you do, and I invite people to get a hold of Pat Davis right now. Go to yourhealthplanman.com. That's yourhealthplanman.com, or better yet, give him a call. He and his family, his team, they're ready for you. 855-475-2662. That's 855-475-2662. Wanted you to hear Pat in his own words, with his own voice, describing some of these plans that are available for you business owners or you individuals. I love Pat. I love what he does for America, for the state of Tennessee, and I appreciate him being a fine sponsor of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you so much, Pat. We'll be back in a moment. It's 1 o'clock. Right now, John Michael's turn.
It's 1 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Cloudy and 78. Your weather forecast is coming up. In a tragic accident at Boxwell Scout Reservation on Tuesday, a camp staff member was severely injured and a child attending the camp was killed, according to News Channel 5. The accident happened on Old Hickory Lake. It was a jet ski crash. Officials now say 10-year-old Jack Gear was on the jet ski with a 19-year-old staff member who was driving when the crash happened. The Boy Scouts of Middle Tennessee said the camper was part of a National Guard family and was participating in the Tennessee National Guard's weekend activities at the Youth Development Week. The man wanted for questioning in the death of a Nashville business owner has been arrested after a manhunt in Middle Tennessee. According to the Metro Nashville Police Department and WSMV, police said 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez was taken into custody in Nashville at the Somatel Motel on Metroplex Drive near Interstate 24 and Harding Place. Metro Nashville Police released Martinez's identity in connection to the death of Smoke and Thighs owner Matt Carney. Senator Marsha Blackburn has uploaded a video to social media from the RNC, which appears to show her and other Republican senators confronting the director of the Secret Service in the wake of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. M. Nguyen has this from Washington.
An unprecedented scene at the RNC. Two Republican senators chasing down the Secret Service head demanding answers over the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Senators Marsha Blackburn and John Barrasso can be heard in a video of the incident, accusing Director Kimberly Cheadle of stonewalling. She told them it was not the right place for this conversation.
This is exactly what we were doing today on the call. Stonewalling.
Blackburn, moments after the confrontation, posting a video on social media.
She can run, but she cannot hide.
Cheadle will appear in front of a congressional committee on Monday. It's the final day of the Republican National Convention, during which former President Trump is set to formally accept the GOP nomination. Here's ABC News contributor and former North Dakota senator on the Democrat side of things as the pressure mounts for President Biden to step out of the race.
The poll numbers are not good. We should all understand that they haven't been good for a long time. And the debate performance was an opportunity for the president to reset the campaign, to come out with vigor, and exactly the opposite happened. So I think we'll know more by the end of the week, beginning of next week.
That was Heidi Heitkamp. Biden is under self-quarantine now in Delaware after testing positive for COVID yesterday. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Gentlemen, you need to know certain numbers, especially when you reach a certain age. Like a number like, 40 or 50, like I just achieved. When you reach those age numbers, sometimes you feel a lack of energy, motivation, or drive. It could come from a number of different places. Perhaps you're not sleeping as well as you should. Perhaps your T level has lowered over the years. If that's the case, Tennessee Men's Clinic can absolutely help. Let's get a consultation with Tennessee Men's Clinic going today. All you have to do is call one of their qualified urologists at either location, Cool Springs or in Midtown. They will schedule an appointment for you. They'll put you through your paces, and that means they'll take a little blood work. They'll talk to you about your energy levels, and they'll get that result, and they will get you a plan of action that works for you. They have multiple different ways to help solve your issues, whether it be energy level at the gym, outside, or in the bedroom. It's time to get it solved with Tennessee Men's Clinic, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or 615-208-9090, 208-9090. All right, busy first hour, should be a busy second hour of the Matt Murphy Show. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You and me would love to hear your thoughts on the phones. We're getting new information about the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. The political left is absolutely losing its mind. The political left doesn't know what to do with themselves. It's been a pretty good week for Donald Trump. He avoided an assassination attempt, and it's been a heck of an RNC thus far. J.D. Vance accepting the nomination for Vice President of the United States of America last night with a very personal, emotional speech. It was particularly personal to me, given that I was raised primarily by my grandparents. J.D. talked about being raised by his. My circumstances were a little bit different. I had an absentee father, as J.D. had. J.D. had an absentee mother because his mother was under the sad umbrella of drug abuse. My mother, I lost her in terms of raising me when I was 5 years of age due to brain cancer. Now, she lived until I was 20. She died in 2003. That would have made me 29. At the same time, were it not for my grandparents, I don't know where I would be. And obviously, J.D. Vance, through his hard work ethic, and through the raising that he had in Ohio, it led him to the United States Marine Corps, and obviously eventually led him to a graduate degree at Yale, an incredible, successful career in business and finance, and eventually he became a United States Senator from the state of Ohio, and now a vice presidential candidate, and I expect he will be the next vice president of the United States of America. What an incredible testimony last evening. Tonight, big goings on, big doings, as we anticipate leading up to and building up to an address by the former president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump is said to have reevaluated, to really have thrown away the 20-page speech that he originally intended to give, and has now defined what he wants to send as a message to the American people in the aftermath of the assassination attempt on his life. Then we turn our attention to that assassination attempt. What happened? It was either, folks, I mean, it's pretty easy, even after, Saturday to Sunday to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, 5 days now. It's either gross negligence and incompetence or it's intentional. Those are your two choices. We try to believe that it is gross negligence and incompetence. That's the only belief that we can hold on to and still have any faith whatsoever in basic institutions like our Secret Service. Yes, Bell.
If it's gross incompetence, a Democrat should be just as angry that this happened as anybody should, because if it could happen to Trump through gross incompetence, it could happen to Biden through gross incompetence.
That's right. And you know what I don't see a lot of this week? We saw about 24 hours of prayers and glad Donald Trump's okay, et cetera, et cetera. Now you have lefties who are claiming that all of this was staged. You have a lot of that on social media and even spilling over to platforms like MSNBC. Joy Reid, specifically. Joy Reid should be fired. If Comcast gave one damn about the safety and security of the former president of the United States of America, they would fire her, or at very least suspend her along the same lines that they did Joe and Mika earlier in the week. Joy Reid, for those who do not know, this moron on MSNBC is promoting, well, I'll tell you what, before we go to telephone calls, let's listen to what she's promoting. Comcast, you guys cool with this? Comcast owns MSNBC, and MSNBC's Joy Reid says the Trump assassination attempt was staged, and she doesn't even believe that he was hit by a bullet.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel.
Okay, first and foremost, what in the hell does that matter? There was a moment where there was a suggestion, and we talked about it last Saturday as Brian Wilson, Matt Murphy, Dan Mandis, and Chris Hand, we were all on deck and all on air for about 3 hours Saturday afternoon covering the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. And for a brief moment, it was reported that one of the teleprompters, potentially glass in nature, would have shattered and perhaps caused the damage to his ear. That was dispelled that day. That was a question that came up for about 20 minutes. As a matter of fact, I remember it very well because I was the one that brought it up on air live as it happened. I saw the report, the possibility. I brought up the possibility. And about 10 minutes later, Wilson will tell you the same thing. It wasn't even 10 minutes later. Wilson said, hey, they've looked into that report on the teleprompter, and we now see where the two teleprompters are still intact, Matt. So doesn't look like that was the case. Okay, good. Well, that's all right. That answers that question. Well, Joy Reid is still questioning. Why haven't we seen the doctor's reports? Why haven't we seen the police report? Why haven't we seen this? What does it matter? Joy Reid? If it was glass, shrapnel, or a bullet, or whatever. What does it matter? Are you suggesting that it would make a difference? A sniper attempted to kill Donald Trump, to blow his head off, ma'am. Have you no shame? Answer no.
We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why?
Well, you said a mouthful there, lady. You know almost nothing. That is correct.
Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation.
Joy Reid in this moment is upset that the Secret Service did not drag Donald Trump off the stage. She's upset in the manner in which he reacted to almost having his head blown off. The impressive actions of Donald Trump in the moments following the assassination attempt annoy Joy Reid. She's annoyed that he managed to motion to the crowd in the few seconds that he had to do so. She's annoyed that he was not allowed to do anything. He took control like a boss of the situation momentarily. Now, if you want to fault the Secret Service, that's fine, because it's their job to get the protectee off the X, and they didn't do that. They smothered him. As a matter of fact, Joy Reid, you missed my big complaint, is that they smothered him for almost a minute of time, waiting to get confirmation that the shooter was down, not knowing if there was another shooter in place, not knowing if there were several other shooters. Listen, Joy, you need to calm down with the conspiracy theories, ma'am.
They, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters?
They did not. Yes, incompetence. You're right.
There could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that.
Yes, Biden's Secret Service. A Secret Service run by the Department of Homeland Security, which is run by Alejandro Mayorkas, The hiring of executive director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle. You're right about that. Why are you not pointing fingers at Ms. Cheadle? Why are you pointing fingers at Donald Trump? Donald Trump doesn't control the Secret Service, ma'am.
Crisis and pose for a photo.
Nobody posed for a photo. Photographs were taken during this moment. What are you talking about, lady? Nobody posed for photos. He raised his fist as he was being led off stage into a waiting vehicle.
There are literally photographers there that are doing their job of documenting the moment. And you see one photographer run across the stage while while the bullets are still being, coming in to do his job, because that's what they do. When a moment of history happens, you don't go, time to pack it up.
And by the way, kudos to the photographers. I don't know that I would have done that. When the bullets are still whizzing by, they're taking photos of the moment. And you're exactly right, Belle. It's what they're trained to do. There was no posing of photos, ma'am. Ms. Reed.
And fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo.
So what a disgusting piece of human debris you are. That you are suggesting in the moments following an assassination attempt on his life, one that you seem to question altogether, that you're suggesting that he thought to him, let's get this out. No, he was speaking to the United States of America. That was instinct, ma'am. That's called courage. I would not expect that you would have any concept of it.
And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV.
And by the way, they shoved him in the SUV as soon as he raised his head. They got him back down into that SUV.
The reason that photo with him with his fist up in the air is iconic. And she's correct. It is an iconic photo. The reason it's iconic is because it's a snapshot of a moment of history. It was not posed.
That's right.
It was just a moment that the photographer caught that was happenstance.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me because it was out of a moment of tragedy, truly, because we lost a firefighter and 2 other people were shot. Could have been a much more tragic situation. It reminded me of the shot of the 3 firefighters raising the flag over 9/11. It's that type of photograph.
Where you're simply documenting a specific moment in history as it unfolds in front of you.
And by the way, Time magazine was going to use that photograph on the cover of their magazine. Apparently they still have a magazine on the cover of their magazine, and they decided against it. They bowed before the pressure of the political left. The political left is attempting to spike that photograph and not allow it to get out because they don't like how it makes Donald Trump look strong and courageous, which is a moment in history. It's not a political statement. It is a moment in time. Let's do 20 more seconds with this idiot.
That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times, aggressively pursuing?
Why are you waiting? Let me channel my inner Mark Levin for a moment. I feel like Mark Levin when I start screaming at these people. Why are you waiting on the New York Times? You call yourself a reporter? You file a FOIA request and see where that gets you. If you're so obsessed with what sort of injury, are you suggesting none of this happened, ma'am? What an insult. Comcast ought to fire your hiney hole today. They don't have the stones to do it either. David's in Nashville. David, thank you for your call. How are you? Hey, David. What's up?
Hey.
Hey.
All right. I'm thinking that this whole fist in the air thing may come back to bite us in the butt. I was watching the convention last night, and I saw all the people with their fist in the air shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." And the only thing I could think of was Hitler.
Really? Why is that?
Big Heil.
The Nazis didn't put fists in the air.
No, they didn't. But it looked like that. They already call him Hitler anyway. And I don't think that it would be too far-fetched for someone to take that, a film of them, and put it next to a film of the Hitler Youth doing the same thing, but with their hand in the air.
Or maybe they could put it next to a video from the 1960s of the Black Panther Party putting their fists in the air, very, very similar to the way that Donald Trump did so, and suggest that it's more of a black power symbol.
Right. Yes. They could. But I hope it doesn't, but I wouldn't put it past them to make the parallel.
These are the same people that have compared him to Hitler for the last 8 years.
Right.
Why wouldn't they continue? So if we are going to, and this is what I would say to it, David, and I get where you're coming from. I understand that. But if we're going to monitor our movements and our language and what we do and what we say based on how they're going to react to it, then we're never going to do anything because they're always going to react negatively. Always.
True.
So I don't mind the symbology at all. I want a fighter. I want a lion in the arena. I want someone that's willing to stand up and say, yes, fight. Don't kowtow to this. Fight. That's his instinct. That's his reaction, and I absolutely love it. I understand your concerns, but understand the political left, the enemies on the left, they're always going to have negative things to say, no matter what he does. No matter what happened on that stage, absent having his head blown off, the political left was always going to come around to criticizing Donald Trump no matter what. It's 1:23 on Super Talk 99.7. Your calls, Jim and John and Jimmy and Guy and Dan, not necessarily in that order. Next on Super Talk. Hello, friends. The Dr. Paz Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center is available to you. If you snore, do you know why? And what it could be causing. Now, the snoring can come from a lot of different factors, but what snoring can cause is a disruption in sleep. And sleep apnea could be the culprit. If that's the case, Dr. Paz wants to talk with you. You know, if you're CPAP intolerant, meaning you've tried a CPAP machine, perhaps you already know that you have sleep apnea and you just can't wear the CPAP, have you tried the Dr. Paz device? It is a device that goes in the mouth, much like a football mouthpiece is the best way that I can describe it. It's a appliance that goes in. You don't really feel it. I have one because guess what? I discovered I have sleep apnea. I did not know. I was one of the 25% of adults that have sleep apnea in the night. It was causing me restless sleep. It was causing me to wake up multiple times in my sleep and causing me to be low energy the next day. Now, problem solved. Thank you to the Dr. Paz Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. They are in network for Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, TRICARE for the military. 2 offices, one in Brentwood, the other in Murfreesboro. Go to drpaz.com and schedule an appointment today. That's drposs.com. It's Dr. Paz and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for Kraft Body Scan. I've been telling you about Kraft Body Scan for some time now. Great organization and proud to have them in Nashville, Tennessee. They've been around since 2017 in Nashville for the last year and a half or so. And all month long, our friends at Kraft Body Scan are offering a couple's heart and lung scan for only $149. The couple's heart and lung scans are valued at over $2,500. This is a huge savings for anyone looking for a simple and non-invasive way to check out their heart, their lungs. You can check under the hood without someone having to go under the hood. You can do it with a CT scan from Kraft Body Scan. Take the proactive step toward better health today through early detection. Book your couple's heart and lung scan today at togetherwescan.com. That's togetherwescan.com, or call 615-436-1000, 615-436-1000 for Kraft Body Scan.
A Tennessee senator goes after the Secret Service director to get answers, and remains found in Shelbyville are those of a missing teen. Those stories coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I consider it, thank you, John Michael, I consider it a foregone conclusion that Joe Biden is out. What with the COVID diagnosis, whether it's real or not, it gives him some time to reflect and gives others time to talk with him via phone, Zoom, whatever, or in person for that matter. Did you see the photograph, by the way, speaking of in person, of Joe Biden like an hour before he left Las Vegas because he had COVID? He was at a Mexican restaurant and he was like hanging over somebody's plate of guacamole or whatever. I mean, Mr. Super Spreader. Hey, buddy, you got a little spittle on my fajita here. You might want to.
Hey, man, that's presidential spittle to you.
You might want to back it up there. Sloppy Joe.
Everybody he shook hands with in that restaurant is rushing to Walmart to buy a COVID test.
And then the media last night, I know I got to get to phone calls, but we're gonna have to we're gonna get to John Michael's news, and then everybody that I just named, I'm getting to you. I promise. I want to hear from every single one of you. God bless you for waiting. But last night I'm watching him as he feebly makes his way down Air Force One. It was embarrassing. I mean, he was taking it like one step at a time, or two steps at a time. He was going 2 steps, pause. 2 steps, pause, 2 steps, pause. You know, like an 81-year-old man with dementia and COVID would. And he got on the airplane without a mask on. He's all up in people's faces at the Mexican joint. You know, getting, he's, dipping his finger in their margarita or whatever the hell he's doing. I don't know. And no, that's not Aunt Margarita. I'm talking about the drink, Bell. Come on now. Family show. And then he comes down off Air Force One slowly but surely and gets in his car. And this commentator, this lady, I think it was CNN, either CNN or MSNBC, one of the enemy networks. Well, you'll note it, I'm not making this up. God is my witness, I'm not making this up. While President Biden did not have a mask while he got off Air Force One, you'll notice as he gets in the vehicle, he immediately puts on his mask. Yeah. Hey, just hot tip to all of you liberal networks. We know. You don't have to lie anymore. We know. We know. It's 1:31 on Super Talk.
It's 1:31. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Partly sunny and 79 degrees as it looks like there is a lot of rain on the way to the mid-state of Tennessee. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Senator Marsha Blackburn is sharing a video she uploaded to social media at the RNC to her campaign list, which appears to show her and other Republican senators confronting the director of the Secret Service in the wake of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. M. Nguyen has this from Washington.
An unprecedented scene at the RNC. 2 Republican senators chasing down the Secret Service head demanding answers over the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Senators Marsha Blackburn and John Barrasso can be heard in a video of the incident, accusing Director Kimberly Cheadle of stonewalling. She told them it was not the right place for this conversation.
This is exactly what we were doing today on the call. Stonewalling.
Blackburn, moments after the confrontation, posting a video on social media.
She can run, but she cannot hide.
Cheadle will appear in front of a congressional committee Monday to face questions about what went wrong. More than a week after human remains were discovered in Shelbyville, authorities announced that they were that of a teenage girl who was last seen in June. The Shelbyville Police Department said a pedestrian came across the remains on July 8th near Old Nashville Dirt Road, which runs north out of Shelbyville. Then, on Thursday, July 18th, officials reported the remains were positively identified as 16-year-old Maria Lucas Gasper. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, we'll shift our attention to local races. You know, believe it or not, we've got a primary coming up on August 1st. We'll visit with Chris Spencer, who's running against Senator Farrell Hale. By the way, big Senator Farrell Hale update at 2 o'clock, too. Fearless Farrell won't call me back and will not respond to me on text message, even just to tell me no.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Usually when there's trouble, it's because you brought it on yourself.
So he calls himself Fearless. Will you find his ad, the Fearless Farrell ad?
Yeah.
He calls himself Fearless Farrell, but he won't call me back even to tell me no, I don't have any interest in coming on your radio show. That's fine, too. I'm surprised he won't call me back. 615-737-9986. Let's get to who has been holding the longest. Jim, you are next in Clarksville. Hey, Jim.
How you doing today, sir?
Pretty good, man.
Just for the record, the channel is BSNBC.
Or did you see Donald Trump? Donald Trump Jr. He called him MSDNC, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and I think I know this. Let's assume that the scuttlebutt about Joe dropping out is true. So that makes Calamity Harris president. So that will make Donald Trump the 48th president?
Well, she's not president. So,
oh, come on. He's going to get it.
No. Well, look, I'm not counting any chickens before they hatch. I do believe that he's going to be the next president. So, yes, if it happened the way that you described it, and Joe actually just said, I'm out, I resign, then obviously Kamala would inherit the presidency. She would become the 47th president of the United States, and it would make Trump the 48th. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think Joe will eliminate his name from consideration from the DNC. He will drop out as a candidate, but he will serve out the remainder of his term. Because here's what he's got to do, Jim. He's got to pardon Hunter. And he can't pardon Hunter before the election. He's got to wait until after it.
That's true.
So,
but if there's anybody that could do a worse job than Joe, it's Calamity.
And it's a series of bad choices. And thank you, Jim, for the call that the Democrats have, right? But the analysis, and I've gone back and forth. I was talking with someone last night. I was on a podcast, the Heartland Liberty podcast with Dan Meredith last night. He was gracious enough to invite me on his show. And you can check that out. If you look up Heartland Liberty, you can find it. We spent a good hour together. And I mentioned this to Meredith, that the Democrats are left with a series of bad choices. But I think they know what the outcome will be if they stick with Joe. They are 100% certain that if Joe Biden is the candidate for president of the United States, they're losing to Donald Trump. 100% certain. They're probably going to lose with Kamala Harris. But I think the powers that be amongst the Democrats believe that there is a glimmer of a hope for them, that they can manipulate the will of the voters somehow with Kamala in a way that they can't with Joe. Joe doesn't have the ability to do it. I don't know that Kamala does, but I think some of the talking heads over there at MSNBC and CNN and I'm sorry. My apologies. Yes, ma'am. Some over there are of the belief that they can manipulate Kamala to make her more appealing to the voters. That's their analysis. That's it.
You'd have to manipulate her to make her more appealing.
I mean, yeah. I don't believe that it's possible. I think she's so unlikable. She is the most unlikable political candidate since Hillary Clinton, and might be more unlikable than Hillary Clinton. Dan is in Franklin next. Dan, thank you for the call.
Matt, always enjoy your show.
Thank you, sir.
I miss hearing that horn where you say you want to keep Joe.
Oh yeah, we were engaged last week in Operation Save Joe. Yeah, there it is.
Yay!
There it is. Listen, our Operation Save Joe. Give it to me one more time. Every time I say it, Operation Save Joe.
Love it,
Dan. It's not going well.
Oh, and Lincoln's here, and he's my golden retriever, and he's a Trump, he's a MAGA golden retriever. Here's my question. We know that this kid was radicalized. He was radicalized somehow. He didn't come up with this the day before. and that he happened to be on a building just outside the Secret Service zone. My question is, and you're a super sleuth, and we come to you for all the answers. Who chose this particular location in this particular small town? The timing of it. I'd like for somebody to come up with a timeline as to how this location was chosen, how far in advance it was chosen. Did the Trump people pick it all by themselves? And was anybody else involved in picking this particular location for the rally with a police department that was like 7 people? Something in all of this does not add up.
So here's what I can tell you. I don't pretend to know all of the answers to the series of questions that you just posed, but I do know this. A lot of times the selection of these physical location for these rallies is up to individuals who are willing to give over their property to hold the rallies. And apparently the Secret Service and other individuals within the Trump campaign would have to check off on it being acceptable. The ease of getting traffic in and out, big parking spaces for that traffic going in and out. I know that when Donald Trump did his big rally up in Coleman, they got a private individual who was a Trump supporter who had a lot of property to agree to offer up their property for the purpose of holding the rally. It looked to me, I don't know this to be the case, Dan, but it looked to me that is what was happening in Butler. Now, Butler's red. They say about Pennsylvania that Pennsylvania is, I've always heard it said, Pennsylvania is Philadelphia on one side, Pittsburgh on the other side, and Alabama in the middle. And so Butler, while it's closer to Pittsburgh than most of these areas, it is ruby red. So it would not surprise me if a Trump supporter did not offer his property for the purpose of holding this rally, and they selected it based on its location, ease of egress, and these types of things.
And then how far in advance was it known that this was going to happen? And then how did this kid get radicalized?
On the radicalization point, that's a good question. Remains to be seen. We now know that he made some comments about July 13th in on an online streaming platform. I think Steam is the name of the streaming platform, which is used by gamers quite a bit to communicate with one another. It's very similar to Discord, for those of you familiar with Discord. But I think the rally was announced 8 or 9 days prior to it. So it would have been somewhere right after July 4th, if my memory serves me correctly.
It's just amazing how all of these little pieces all came together, and this kid supposedly pulled it off all by himself. It's just...
Well, it's difficult to fathom, and we're piecing together the timeline right now, Dan, and it's hard to understand how in the hell local, state, or Secret Service authorities did not stop this individual and speak to him prior to him opening fire against the President of the United States and others in that rally. He was seen hours beforehand. If you've not seen the timeline as they're beginning to emerge, the timeline is just... You shake your head.
It's ridiculous.
And you wonder how in the hell. I mean, it truly gives us no solace in the sense that I want to be proven wrong with regard to my thoughts that there was some sort of inside component here. Or
it's almost like you found out that this Lee Harvey Oswald bumped into a Secret Service agent and bummed a cigarette off of him.
Right. While holding his rifle.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you got there? Oh, I was just going to run, Italian, 6.5, just.
I like to shoot.
I just like to shoot. I was just going up to the book depository up there. Oh, really? Yeah. What floor? 6th floor up there, I'll work up there. Got me a little location. I call it my little sniper's nest up there where I have lunch. Oh, that's nice. I might come out there and check it out sometime. Okay, cool. 1 o'clock, doors scheduled to open at the campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania at Butler Farm Show Incorporated. So this was, an established farm where they probably show livestock and whatnot. At 3 o'clock, the assailant went through a screening area with a magnetometer or am I saying that right? Magnetometer. There you go. Thank you, Bill. Magnetometer. And was carrying a rangefinder. Like one would use on a golf course or one would use to shoot. He was flagged as a person of interest. Donald Trump was scheduled to deliver his remarks at 5 o'clock, but was late. Sometime around 10 minutes after 5, police allegedly spotted crooks hanging out around the American Glass Research Complex, which is the building he eventually got on top of, more than an hour before the assassination attempt. They saw him. At 5:45, a law enforcement officer saw crooks on the ground, in a shooting position on the ground. Called him a suspicious person, takes his picture. An officer checked the grounds for crooks at that point, but did not see him. They had lost sight of him. It was at this moment that it is inexplicable that the Secret Service would have allowed Donald Trump to take the stage. You see a suspicious person at 5:45 and you lose sight of him, you don't know where that suspicious person is, and you allow the President of the United States of America to go on a stage?
You said he came in, he had to go through, obviously, a checkpoint, and he went through a metal detector. So he didn't have the gun with him. Where did he pick the gun up from?
So he apparently, at some point, and we don't know when, at some point he removed the gun from his vehicle and took the gun and put it in a hidey position near the building where he eventually climbed onto. Then he went inside of the complex. He scouted the grounds. He was looking for sniper positions. Apparently, we're told he was looking for Secret Service positioning, and then he left the grounds, left the property, went back around to the building, and then climbed up on the building. He had a ladder, did not use it. He climbed up on the building using one of their air conditioner units. He got on top of the air conditioner and then pulled himself up onto the top of the roof. It is believed that he possibly at some point put the gun on the roof so no one else would see it, then left, went down, did his scouting, did his moving about. Guy is next in Franklin. Guy, thank you for the call. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Matt, it is always a pleasure to speak with you. I do have to disagree with you on one thing. I don't like the way that you describe Joy Reid as human debris. I would have described her as human excrement. But that's neither here nor there. I've lost...
Guy, I don't do this very often. You ready for this? I don't do it very often.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm wrong. You're right. How about that?
I love that. So my mentor that taught me how to play golf, he lost his daughter to an overdose. So that, just everything hits home with that. But I have a little unique perspective. I'm really a nobody. I'm a plain owner of USS George H.W. Bush CVN 77. I commissioned her in January 10th, 2009. And I got to work. I was part of the Naval Security Forces on our ship there, and I got to work kind of intimately with Secret Service there. And also, we took our ship up to Kitty Bunkport, Maine once, where 41 and 43 both came onto our ship. 41 actually got to spend the night, and I was working the night shift there from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I was outside of his executive cabin where he was sleeping, and I got to just interact with his Secret Service agents for an extended amount of time, sort of a unique situation that no one ever really gets to, and just kind of see them as humans, as they really are. And Matt, just the breakdown of the timeline and everything, this only comes down to two things. This is in a complete, utter, just a complete, just a prime example of DEI and where this gets you.
Yep.
Or this is absolute complicity, whatever you want to call it, just a coordinated effort to try to take him out. And I hate to say it, Matt, I really don't think this is going to be their last effort to try it again.
Either way, let me tell you, Guy, and thank you for the call. Either way, it is foo-bar. Foo-bar. More coming up in just a moment. 152 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'll tell you what, this does remind us that we live in a dangerous world, and you never know when something's going to go down. You need to be prepared. You need to understand not how to react, because everybody reacts, but how to respond to a threat in your workplace, a threat at your church, a threat at your school. Do you know what to do in the event of workplace violence? Do you know what to do in case someone comes into your business with an attitude, with a violent intent, or, God forbid, with a gun? Well, I know who to call, and that is Defend Systems. Now, obviously, they're having their big event tonight at Long Hollow Church, and you're invited to be up there in Goodlettsville with them this evening as they help you understand exactly what to do in the case of workplace violence. Security, consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical, all available for you and your facility. Call them today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or go to defendsystems.com. That's defendsystems.com for the one and only Defend Systems.
The latest on the health of the president, an arrest in a high-profile hit-and-run case in Nashville, and a break to the heat and humidity in the Music City. We'll have those stories at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So Elon Musk, thank you, John Michael, by the way. Elon Musk tells California to shove it after their latest series of ridiculous legislation that was signed by the governor involving transgender surgeries and minors being able to have transgender surgeries without their parents' notification. Elon Musk said, you know what, cram it, California. Good for him. Have you heard Gavin Newsom's response to this? I mean, basically told him, don't let the good Lord hit you don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Maybe that's why people are fleeing California by the millions. Gavin, ever think of that? 1:59, almost 2 o'clock. We've got John Michael's newscast. We'll have Chris Spencer coming up in just a moment. He wants to be a state senator, and he wants your vote. We'll talk about that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hang in there.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Sun and 82 degrees right now and lower humidity. Full forecast in 2 minutes. President Biden is putting his campaign on pause while he quarantines in Delaware after testing positive for COVID. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest from the president's physician, who released a letter this afternoon.
President Biden is still experiencing mild upper respiratory symptoms from his COVID infection, but he doesn't have a fever and his vital signs remain normal. That's according to a new letter from his physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. O'Connor says the president continues to receive the antiviral medication Paxlovid and, quote, will continue the business of the American people. Earlier Wednesday, the president's deputy campaign manager, Quentin Folks, told reporters the president's making calls and doing work, including official meetings and campaign calls.
This is the second time the president has tested positive for COVID. The highlight of any political convention is the keynote by the presidential nominee on the final night. Jim Ryan says Donald Trump is preparing to address the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
The former president is said to have torn up and then rewritten the speech he had prepared before Saturday's attempt on his life. Donald Trump's supporters wonder about the tone he'll strike.
I don't know what he's going to do, but whatever he will do, it will be right.
Barbara Wiley of Arizona is willing to guess at the content.
We're on the right track. We can't give up, and we got to work hard.
Trump is scheduled to speak at 10:09 Eastern Time tonight. The man wanted for questioning in the death of a Nashville business owner has been arrested after a manhunt in Middle Tennessee, according to the Metro Nashville Police Department and WSMV. Police said 24-year-old Ulysses Martinez was taken into custody in Nashville at a motel on Metroplex Drive near Interstate 24 and Harding Place. Metro Nashville Police released Martinez's identity in connection to the death of Smoking Thighs owner Matt Carney. Prime Day's record haul was expected to be $14.2 billion over the last 2 days, and that's according to Adobe Analytics. What opens eyes is the nearly even split between people shopping on desktops and on their mobile devices. Smaller screen shoppers spent $7 billion over the last 2 days. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
It is just after 2 o'clock, 2:06 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And already Thursday, already 2 p.m., only one more day to go in the week. Man, oh man, it has been just an incredible week. I mentioned last night, and if you're holding on the phones, just be patient with me. We got a special guest that'll be with us for about 15 or maybe 20 minutes. And then we'll get to each of your calls before I get out of here at 3 o'clock and hand off to the drive. God bless you for holding on, Marsha and Jimmy and Josh and Jose. Real quick, I was on a television podcast last night, Heartland Liberty podcast with Dan Meredith, a good guy. He's been asking me to come on, and we finally got our schedules together. And I was happy to go over, and I think it was live, but it's also on it's on tape. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. But anyway. And at some point during the proceedings, it just occurred to me to stop for a moment and remind ourselves that regardless of where you are from a political perspective, wherever you might be, most of us are conservatives or libertarians, but whatever you might be, recognize the history that we're living through right now. I mean, for better or worse, the history that we're living through. There's only been one time in American history where we've had a president serve two terms non-concurrently or consecutively, and that's Grover Cleveland. I think 22 and 24, if I'm not mistaken. Now we have that we're leading to that in November. We have a time where there's been somewhat over the last 6, 7, 8 years, an awakening of conservatism, an awakening that we can turn this ship around, right-size government, lower the impact of the federal government on our daily lives, and insist in our local politicians that they are more representative to the individual needs and not representative of the money that comes in through lobbying organizations and doing bidding of those lobbying organizations. It's an amazing time that we live in, and I am proud to be here with you in Nashville on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, attempting to, for better or worse, guide you through every moment of it. With that in mind, I welcome back to the show Chris Spencer. He is running in Senate District number 18. That is currently occupied by the incumbent Farrell Hale. You know what? When Chris first came on our show, Farrell seemed relatively well-liked at the Capitol, and I thought, boy, you're not a name that people know very well, Chris. This is a long road to hoe, as my grandpa used to say. Chris Spencer, you've hoed it, and we're almost to the finish line. And let me tell you something, brother. A lot of people are talking about your candidacy. A lot of people are supporting you, and it's good to have you back in studio with us. Welcome back, Chris Spencer.
Well, thank you for having me, Matt. It's been an amazing week. I mean, just watching what President Trump has gone through, and just the Republican Party coming out in force for him. And then it's been an amazing week for me as well. I became a grandfather for the fourth time on Tuesday.
Congratulations!
We finally got a boy. So a 10-pound boy. I have two daughters, and my daughters have three girls, and so now we have a boy. And so it's been a great week, and
it sounds like Grandpa was angling for a boy. It sounds like you.
You know, it really doesn't matter to me as long as they're healthy. It doesn't matter to me. I've been blessed to be a father of two girls, and it was the time of my life. So I really didn't care to have a boy. You know, to be honest,
one way
with
or the other.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Well,
good for you and your family. That's wonderful.
And it's amazing what $1 million in negative ads by my opponent and their minions, if you will, will do to get people to realize who I am and my name. It's amazing. I go to the door now. I was in White House yesterday, door knocking. I've knocked on 6,500 doors now. I was in White House, and it just happened to be the U.S. Post woman was almost going the same route that I was going, and I went over to her and I asked her. I said, "I'll bet you're tired of seeing my picture, aren't you?" And she said, "I thought that was you." You know, she's like, she opens up her pants. She's like, "Here's the one today," and I'm like, oh gosh, but yeah, I think they've actually helped me. I really do, and obviously, these are all lies. Every one of these mailers are just full of.
For those watching on Super Talk TV, let me show you what we're talking about. You brought these in for me. These are paid for. I guess some of them are maybe paid for by Farrell. I don't know, but most of these are MC PAC.
That's Randy McNally. He has already spent more than $400,000 on my race alone.
Look at there. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, that's a lot It's a lot of you, Chris.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, and look, here's Chris. Chris Spencer didn't care about raising taxes. There we go.
Never been in office.
Whose side? Oh, you're a rhino, apparently.
Apparently.
Congratulations for that. You thought fighting the opioid epidemic was a waste of time, apparently.
I don't even know what that's about.
You're saying so. So you know what? But without going through these individually one by one, you know what that tells me?
I think they're scared.
Somebody's running scared.
Yeah. They are definitely scared because we've done the work. I mean, first of all, we've been knocking on doors since October, and really we've not done any slamming of Senator Hale. We just exposed his voting record to District 18, and that's all we've done. We've exposed his voting record, and honestly, I think District 18 is shocked when they see what he has voted for, and they're leaning on towards me now because they want change. He's been there 14 years. That's long enough. And when you add that with a voting record, he won't debate anybody. He won't go on any shows because he can't now because we've exposed his voting record.
Well, and in the interest of disclosure, I will say to the audience, and I said a little bit of this to you right before we came on air, he's calling himself Fearless Farrell, right? Yeah. Fearless Farrell Hale. That's in his big ad. Can you play his ad? You got his ad up? Here, play his ad. We'll give him a little free airtime. Here's Fearless Farrell talking about how fearless he is. See, I don't like, and look, with all due respect to Governor Bill Lee, with all due respect to Randy McNally and some of these others at the Capitol who are back in the, y'all need to stay out of this and let the voters of District 18 figure it out for themselves. I don't like this idea of, he might not be best for the District 18 voters, but he's our guy, so we're going to protect him, we're going to shield him, we're going to endorse him. That's a lot of hooey and nonsense. Secondarily, he says he stopped the illegal invasion. Well, I don't. Somebody needs to wake Farrell up and let him know that it started back again when Donald Trump left office. Thirdly, and I'll let you talk here for a minute, Chris. He calls himself Fearless Farrell. I have called him 4 times. I have left messages on his cell phone. I have invited him on this show. He will not call me back. I'm not asking him. I'm not demanding that he make an appearance on the show. I'm asking for an answer. And I texted him saying this. Hello, Senator Hale. My name is Matt Murphy. I left you a message a few days ago. I hope to speak with you about the possibility of coming on my show in the near future. I host on Super Talk 99.7 WTN from noon until 3. Let me know when might be a good time to talk and we can get something scheduled. Hope you're well. Nothing. Today, this morning, 10:44. Hello, Senator. Wanted to circle back to make sure you saw this interview opportunity. I understand you have a packed schedule. Just didn't want you to miss an opportunity to speak to the voters of District 18. Love to have you on. Nothing, Chris. Nothing. Now, if you don't want to come on my show because you think I'm in the bag for Chris Spencer or whatever, that's fine. Just tell me. Just tell the voters that you're not going to speak to people that might be predisposed to be against you, to tell them what a good job you've done for the last 14 years. But to ignore the voters, to ignore the people of your district that listen to this radio show, that's, I don't know. That's something the voters are going to have to decide whether they want in their senator. Certainly.
Well, he's running his campaign from his basement. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between him and President Biden in that situation. He's not confident in his voting record. By the way, this ad that he did stood with Trump. Let me say, first of all, he actually blamed Donald Trump for his vote to give illegal aliens in-state tuition. He blamed Donald Trump on that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's Fearless Farrell and doing something about illegal immigration, he co-sponsored to give illegal aliens business license and commercial license. He's been there 14 years. He hasn't done a thing about illegal immigration. And so I just want to know why this ad, the ad and all the ads they're doing against me, they're basically, all these mailers that they sent on me, he actually voted and passed laws for them. And they're now trying to blame me for them and calling me a rhino and so forth. I don't think it's going to work because I don't think District 18 after knowing his voting record because we put it out there. By the way, we put that voting record out there, and then of course his supporters said, well, he's lying. So we did something else. We actually have a website now so that we have the links to all this stuff. It's howhalevotes.com.
Okay.
Howhalevotes.com.
Spell Hale. It's Haile.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Howhalevotes.com, and there's the link, and you can see his voting record. And then what's really odd in Sumner County and Trousdale County, District 18, is really, it's divided. It's like the presidential primary. Our supporters are really the Trump supporters, and his supporters were Nikki Haley supporters. I mean, it really is that. For him to try to come back to Donald Trump now, it's kind of laughable. I mean, most of the people in Sumner County just kind of laughed at that.
Several folks who are listening to us online, and I recognize that many people come and go, and perhaps they've not heard you on the show in the past or on the radio station in the past. Let's revisit this issue of transgender policy in this bill, this particularly 126. Talk to me about your understanding of 126, what it did do, what it did not do, and why you have so much problem with it. So much concern, I guess I should say.
Well, it's the current concern is that he actually sponsored that bill, and he calls himself a man of God. I don't think God makes mistakes with gender assignments. When he's a sovereign, and he there's only two genders. I don't believe that we can switch. And so, parents went to him in 2019, asked him to put forth legislation to eliminate any blockers, hormone blockers, puberty blockers for any minors in Tennessee. Instead of doing that, what he did was he basically protected Vanderbilt Hospital on what they were doing. He codified it in law in 2021 to allow minors as young as 9 years old to begin taking puberty blockers. That became law. The Republicans passed it. And then the next year in 2022, Janice Senator Bowling, she decided that she realized what this bill actually did. It actually made a law and helped Vanderbilt Hospital.
Took a bad situation and many people say made it worse.
Well, made it law. Yeah. Gave him protection. Right. And so Janice, she submitted a bill in 2022 to get rid of that and make no minors, anybody under 18 were prohibited from taking puberty blockers for gender dysphoria. And then Senator Hale blocked it in the Health Committee, allowing it to go on for another year in Tennessee. And it was only because of Matt Walsh. I know a lot of the Republicans are, fist waving because of Senate Bill number 1. Well, you all passed it in 2021.
Oh, look, I'll give Matt all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
I wish I had discovered it prior to Matt. I did not. He did.
Yeah.
And he discovered that Vanderbilt was doing this. He got the information. He got the source. He got the material to the general public. And when the public found out about this, they went bonkers.
Yeah, they
rightly so.
Rightly so. And all Senator Hale could have done for the past 8 months since we've been addressing this is I made a mistake. I made a mistake.
And that's what I've said is that I don't know the man. I've never met him, never spoken to him. And he could come in on my show and say, Murphy, I was the first guy to do anything about it. It is my mistake that we didn't do enough. If he said that, what do I say to it? Okay, well, you recognize that you needed to do more at the time of 126. Yeah, we needed to do more. We didn't do it. That's fine. But he won't say this. He won't say that at all. And he has to explain to me, standing in the Senate and talking about protecting those teenagers on the advice of Vanderbilt. And I'm paraphrasing him here, but you can go and look at that language. And he talked about protecting the teenagers for the medical needs that they had. And I don't understand what that means, but that he was protecting the teenagers to continue to allow for these gender reassignment procedures to go on at Vanderbilt Medical Center.
It means at age 74, he believed in gender dysphoria. That's what it means. At age 74, he believed in gender dysphoria. And because there was an outcry a couple years later, he decided that no, I'm not for transgenders. That's basically what it means. He changed his mind, and I don't know how you change your mind at that age about this, but I don't know. There is no other answer. He could have if he made a mistake, he could have allowed Janice Bowling's bill in 2022. He blocked it. That's intent. That shows intent. And so I think they covered their butts only because of Matt Walsh exposure.
And so he blocks it 1 year. The exposure of Vanderbilt Medical Center comes out thanks to the due diligence of Walsh, and then suddenly it's on everybody's radar screen, and it's Senate Bill 1 and it's House Bill 1, and it gets passed jiffy quick the next year.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Because the truth is out there.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yep.
Outside of that, outside of this transgender issue, which I'm certain has been discussed quite a bit during the campaign, and outside of the immigration piece, because obviously you've made your voice heard about immigration, what else are the citizens of 18 talking about?
Well, they're talking about their health freedoms, too. I mean, we just went through COVID. A lot of people don't. I mean, Senator Hale supported vaccine mandates and mask mandates. In fact, he just 2 months ago, when he spoke before the Republican breakfast at Sumner County Republican breakfast, that he still supports vaccine mandates. He basically said, "I'm the employer; it's my business, and in my business, they do what they want, or they can go find another job." So freedom and informed consent is on the minds also. I think there's a lot of people that are tired of this dark, dirty pharma money, and that's what this is. Mm-hmm. All of this money that's being spent against me is pharma money. This pharma money that comes from Randy McNally, and we're hoping that they're doing this because their polling's not looking good. And we hope there's a backlash that's going to happen in Sumner and Trousdale County, because just the crookedness of these mailers and the amount of money that they're spending should get people to vote for me. And just for that.
By the way, do you not take a bad photo, Chris? Because here's why I ask. I know what opposition research is. And I know when, dark money spends a lot of time and effort to come up with these evil-looking mailers. And even on these anti-Chris Spencer mailers, you look great. I mean, you're looking good. Look there, he looks very good in that one. I mean, look, that looks pretty good to be an anti-Spencer mailer. Congratulations, buddy.
Well,
I mean, right.
They're just my pictures.
That they find on the web.
I'm supposed to be a public figure. I only ran because nobody would run against him. He's never been challenged. And really, I just wanted to serve God in the state Senate. And somebody needed to step up. I didn't really have a desire to do this.
Who are you beholden to?
I'm beholden to nobody, okay? So, and actually, I want to change laws. I want to make sure that this does not happen again to somebody that wants to run as a conservative in Tennessee. I'm thankful that they've blown all this money on me, because I still think they're going to lose. And in 2 years, Randy McNally will not have this money to spend on somebody, the next Chris Spencer that steps up in Tennessee.
Well, what frustrates me is that they're not doing any of this because they think it's the right thing to do. As I said at the beginning of the conversation, they're doing it because they got an incumbent that they can count on him to vote the way that this leadership wants him to vote. And sadly, they decide to try to put their thumb on the scale when it ought to be the people of District 18 making these decisions, looking at both of the candidates. And I believe in challenging the incumbency, because whatever I think of the incumbency, that's going to make the incumbent better. Here, sadly, I don't say sadly on your part, but from his perspective, what you're doing is exposing him as someone who's not willing to face the voters, not willing to face the community when questioned about some of his odd votes and odd sponsorships in the past in the state Senate.
Yeah, and trust me, I don't think he really wanted to run. We know that. He ran again, and I think these are favors for him to run. He didn't want to run. He only ran because I decided to run. And let me tell you, I don't think he's going to win, but if he does win, he's going to be miserable for 4 years. He's going to be miserable because now they know his record, and people don't like this stuff.
We're in the home stretch. Tell people how they can find out more about you, how they can communicate with you. I know if they're in 18, they'll probably see you out and about. Yep. You'll be right behind the mail trucks bringing those nasty mailers to the voters.
ChrisSpencerForSenate.com. We're on Facebook, Chris Spencer TN Senate, and on Twitter and on Instagram. But ChrisSpencerForSenate.com, and don't forget to go to HowHaleVotes.com.
Chris, I believe there's going to be good things for you on August 1st. I believe that. And Farrell, you got till 5 o'clock today to respond to me. Otherwise, I'm going all in on Spencer. You haven't seen anything yet. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, we appreciate you. There's Chris Spencer. We'll be back in a moment. 2:25 on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about a brand new safe from Nashville Safe House, right? So Mark was telling me the other day, I was talking with him, and he said, Murph, crime is up, and we have to remind people that with times being what they are, the criminals are out and about, especially during the summer months, when they know you're down at the beach, when they know you're over in Gatlinburg or you're away from your home, that's when they strike, and you need to protect those things inside of your house. You can do so. It's not just about protecting your guns, which obviously when you're home, that's the ultimate protection for your family and your property. It's also about protecting your valuables, your jewelry, your safeguard those things that are most special to you with a safe from Nashville Safe House. The visit is simple. Go over to 4th Avenue South, right across the street from City Cemetery. You'll see their big building there. They have over 200 safes right there in the showroom and over 600 safes in stock with Nashville Safe House. They have a safe for you, I promise you, of all shapes and sizes. And remember, no sales tax on gun safes at Nashville Safe House. NashvilleSafehouse.com or across the street from City Cemetery on 4th Avenue South.
Even though he's isolated, it's business as usual for the president. Some Tennesseans get some good financial news from the government. We'll have those stories at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. And the Matt Murphy Show continues at 2:29. Glad to have you with us. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I feel like I'm the guy that has to tell everybody that whole thing about the frog and the pot of water isn't true. That if a frog gets in a pot of water and that water temperature slowly goes up, the frog will jump out of the water if given the ability. This photograph that everybody's throwing around, have you seen this photograph of this person with long hair with a choker on that everybody's trying to say that the shooter is
piercings?
The shooter's transgender?
Yeah, I saw that earlier this morning.
This is not the same person. That's not the shooter. And I don't know why you want it to be, but a lot of people want it to be.
Because it would follow the narrative of so many recent shootings being done by
transgender people, right? So that is not the shooter. That is not the same person. They have a completely different facial structure. I'm just here to tell you that it has been debunked multiple times. that is the same picture as the individual responsible for the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. It is 2:31. More calls coming up on Super Talk.
It's 2:30. I'm John Michael with your top stories. Mostly sunny and 89 degrees on Music Row. Forecast is on the way. President Biden is putting his campaign on pause while he quarantines in Delaware after testing positive for COVID. New ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest.
The White House says President Biden is being kept up to speed by senior officials, including on national security matters, while he's isolating with COVID at his home in Delaware. National Security spokesman John Kirby couldn't give an update on the president's health, but said the president is certainly focused on getting better. The president tested positive for COVID on Wednesday while traveling in Nevada. The White House said he was experiencing mild symptoms, runny nose, cough, and general malaise.
And this is the second positive COVID diagnosis for President Biden. Tennessee's Department of Treasury returned around $63 million to Tennesseans, many of whom didn't know they were owed it, after 78,000 claims through the state's unclaimed property program this past fiscal year. The money is turned over to the state by businesses, organizations, and other groups that were unable to find the rightful owner. They have a certain amount of time to locate whoever the property belongs to before they hand it over to the state to be returned through the unclaimed property program. Examples of unclaimed property would be a utility refund, maybe a lost paycheck, and maybe even an insurance refund. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm John Michael, WTN News.
The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin. Friends, let's talk about the pain. Where does it hurt? Is it in your lower back, upper back, neck area, knee, elbow, shoulder pain, hip pain? Wherever it hurts, the Dr. Gill Center can tackle that pain and eliminate it without the need for popping pills, without the need to consider having a needle injection in your body so to block the pain, and certainly without the consideration for surgery. Friends, the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, located in Franklin, they want to help you, and they can. They've helped me. For $49, they'll give you a complete examination, x-rays, and the results of the findings, and they'll also give you your first treatment right then and right there. I've done spinal decompression since I've been in Nashville, and it has been a lifesaver. It can be a game changer for you, too. I encourage you to call the Dr. Gill Center and schedule that appointment today. Many people have, and many people have been thankful they did. Don't wait a moment longer. Call the number I'm giving you at 615-882-4838. 882-4838. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. We've locked Chris Spencer in our facility now, or at least his automobile. Bell's handling that situation as we speak. That is that crackerjack security that we have right here on our property. We've got a lot of slopes. I mean, our facility is very slopey, which would make it difficult for the government to come up in here.
So can he pay a booting fee out of campaign finances?
You can ask him. You should ask him whether or not. I mean, you better do it quickly. Otherwise, he'll get somebody else to help him, and you can't hold this over him.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Bell's coming, Chris. Chris Spencer locked in our facility, unable to get out. 615-737-9986. Let's talk to Mr. Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy, God bless you for holding as long as you did. Thank you for holding through two separate guests. We appreciate you. The floor is yours, Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah. Happy Friday Eve, Matt.
Oh, yeah, look at you. We started off so well, and now you're coming up with that trash.
Yeah, you know, if you got all those angles there, I would probably send a drone after you.
Well, I'm glad you don't, Mr. Jimmy. I bet if you send a drone, I mean, look, I trust you to nail down security around your facility more than I do the Secret Service. I'll tell you that.
Well, let me talk just a minute. Just like Kennedy, Trump, Kennedy, 60-something years later, you still don't know what happened there with Kennedy. But with Trump, I smell CIA.
I've heard that a lot. I've heard it a lot.
You know, the Secret Service, whoever's in charge is responsible. They answer to higher ups. They answer to all the way up to the general, you know. But they do what they told.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, listen, I don't go there quite yet, Mr. Jimmy. I don't want to believe it, but it is so incredible to imagine the failure of the Secret Service last Saturday, and it is through the grace of God. And I understand that we lost a firefighter, and God bless his family, and I know that we had 2 people wounded, and God bless them as well. But we were a whisker away from Donald Trump being dead today and being laid in the ground today. And it is through God's grace that that's not the case. And these incredible failures are so ridiculous that it leaves us wondering whether or not some of this was intentional, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. You know that I was in the MPs in the Army and CID. I went to Quantico back in the 60s, you know, that they sent all the investigators to Quantico to school to learn investigations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well,